even governments. And if you just keep on going back to the first principles, the natural state of the free market is deflation. When measured in the natural state of the free market, then Bitcoin should measure all prices falling forever. Most people don't measure Bitcoin that way. They measure in a US dollar derivative, and they think Bitcoin is going up in value against the US dollar derivative. And you have to remember, these are different systems. One system is the global free market and all prices will fall forever. In that system, you should self-custody. You should add a node. You should create economic nodes. You should spend in Bitcoin, and you should be part of a community that is the first global free market ever. And as you do that, you'll see it everywhere.
Crypto chaos got you spinning, watching the next meme token skyrocket while you're still trying to figure out your next move. Flapjacks brings clarity to the chaos with deflationary burns, fitness-driven utility, and a syrupy community that sticks together. This isn't just another token, it's a movement. Why stress when you can stack? Flip the game with Flapjacks at flapjacks.xyz.
And most people are not waking up and are not aware that this global shift is underway. And many will be left behind even in this cycle as the writing is on the wall and the playbook is being shared publicly. We're going to dive into this and some more discussion topics from Jeff Booth, so stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. I brought Jeff Booth on here before. Well, I guess I can't say I brought him on, right? These are just me sharing clips from other channels. But that one statement, I keep echoing this because he's the first person I heard say this and said it over and over and over until it actually clicked in my head. The natural state of the free market is deflation. This means that we are not in a natural free market. We never have been. Well, I can't say never have. Since technology's come around and we've been operating in currencies and away from gold, trade and barter, we never have been. When we were in trade and barter, that was free market because you gave your chicken eggs for, someone to fix your shoes or whatever, and you decided what that was worth. Both parties agreed what it was worth to do that trade. That was the free market. And now, or ever since we got onto more digital and currency-based systems, it is a simulated or manipulated system where engineered inflation is baked in, and they change the price of goods based off of whatever narrative they want to push. So again, the natural state of the free market is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is the solution to disrupt that controlled narrative, artificial simulated market state. And you have to really just keep telling yourself that and repeating that phrase until it actually clicks and makes sense. So we're going to discuss some more topics from him as he breaks this down. But in short, we are going back to sound money principles. Remember, we were on sound money principles prior to 1971 and coming off the gold standard. So gold, to a degree, also is inflationary, but it's kind of in controlled inflation. If they want to go dig more up or increase the mining supply, then they can. And it's kind of controlled and stifled based off of whatever the market makers want to have circulating within the system. But at least it's backed by something, and that something of gold is usable in multiple different things. So it's used in computer technology chips, used in space travel, used in medicine, machinery, on jewelry, all sorts of stuff, right? So it retains its value by its use case in other places, just not easily transferable and all these other different pieces divisible, blah, blah, blah. So we will inevitably go back to something like that, and or simultaneously watch the current system collapse and migrate into something else that can be controlled. When you go back and look at the history of fiat currencies, I think I've showed this on my channel multiple times before, but history shows us that the average lifespan of fiat currency is 35 years, and the average for a global reserve is around 100 years. And we are hitting that for the dollar, depending on where you want to measure that at. So one way or another, this system will implode and it will have to right its course. And the reason I bring that up, or why I started talking about this, is because over in my Telegram, had this statement from one of the members in there that was asking if what's happening with the markets is good long term. And I shared a bunch of clips of like, yeah, how this is amazing. It's a great opportunity. And then he stated, if there's a global economic collapse, they will get desperate. Who knows what they will do? Stock market crashes and the US dollar collapses. What will BTC be worth then? And that's exactly what Jeff Booth is highlighting. If you keep trying to evaluate the value of Bitcoin in the US dollar, then you've already missed the opportunity, already failed, because you're taking a finite sound money piece of technology and then trading it for something inflationary and controlled. Like, that is just a losing bet right out the gate. So you need to flip it and say, how can I get rid of the failing fiat Ponzi currency and trade that for the finite limited resource? So you need to evaluate, or Jeff Booth said, these need to be completely separate systems. I know it's hard to wrap your head around because as of right now, we still buy everything in our fiat currency, but that's where these websites like Prices, Satoshis make it kind of easy to quantify and see things from sats. And I don't know how many years away this will become a reality in some countries, probably sooner than others, but this is where we're moving to, because in the event that the fiat currency, or I think the US will continue to hold its reins, I believe what we'll end up seeing is more like a unified 3 to 5 global currency system. So like whatever BRICS is going to do, then the euro, then North America dollar, then maybe 2 others. And that is how they'll kind of control the disruption of the current system and kick the can down the road. So I believe we get unified into 5 and then 3 and then one world currency. And if you're a religious person, you got the New World Order, Second Coming of Christ, all this other stuff like that, right? So it's just a natural progression towards things. But let's do a couple more clips from Jeff.
Enjoy the video.
The first, because I didn't get Bitcoin and nobody gets Bitcoin in the beginning. So if you had a state change, the world going from one system to another system, that would be very confusing and you'd likely misunderstand that. So ultimately, why you need to understand Bitcoin is we are going through that state change in the world. And so even though it feels hard to understand, people should stay with it because of that state change. So what is it to me? And maybe we'll start kind of in the state that everybody lives in today. We live in a control system driven by money. And that control system is an exploitative system globally that has to concentrate wealth. And as it concentrates wealth kind of accrues at the top and then joins with politics. And it has to be a control system that we lose. Humanity overall loses from that control system. And everything we do from that control system makes it stronger. As we fight within it, it makes it stronger. And what Bitcoin is, for me anyways, at least as I see it, is an open, decentralized, secure protocol bounded by energy. And it resolves that control system. It allows us to escape the control system in favor of a protocol that allows all of the benefits of our productivity around the world to accrue to us instead of someone else. And that state change that the world is going through would be really, like, if you're measuring that state change from the state change, it would be really confusing. If you're measuring it from the new system, imposing what I just described, it would be, you'd start to see how the world heals everywhere because of Bitcoin. So technology stocks or technology products.
That was another eye-opener for me, that he said this is a system like the internet. There's only one internet. So there were multiple other tech stacks built on top, browsers, all sorts of other stuff. But ultimately, that new foundation or shift in transmission of energy and information became the foundational layer. And it does not go away. Everything was built on top of that. Prior to that, it was built on, say, phone rails, or mail system, telegraph, like all these different things. And then once it evolved, like, there is no going back off of the internet. And the next evolution in that is now this open public blockchain. And now you see all these different apps and layers built on top of this foundation of the improvement of the internet. So like your layer 2s and ETH and smart contracts and all that stuff. But Bitcoin was the foundation layer. That was that new change. And it will be the one that will continue to stand the test of time. So if you're trying to game the system and evaluate Bitcoin in such a way that it's against an inflated fiat currency, you are already on the losing side of that trade. You're going to end up with net zero because everything else on the other side of that equation is zero. Like, it's unbalanced. You cannot balance it. That's why he said that these are two separate systems. You cannot actually look at them through the same lens. And that is very hard concept to wrap your head around, because for so long we have existed in this other system, this controlled, manipulated system. Everywhere we go, you use a fiat currency. That's become the lens through which we see the world. That's the reality. But slowly, in other countries, you can see now that Bitcoin is allowed to be a standard or medium of exchange between people. And that is going to grow more and more. And in the event that we go back to sound money, then the nations that are adopting this already as part of their balance sheet are going to have that leg up. Now, I don't believe we're going to get rid of fiat currencies completely, ever. I believe they will take the next evolution on top of this new foundational layer called Bitcoin, aka blockchain technology. And CBDCs will be that next step where they can control the money supply much more finite and set expiration dates and inflations on certain things. Like, they'll have so much control that they will be able to not have such insane inflation or debt to GDP. And that's something also I wanted to bring up here, is because in this article talking about the death of fiat currencies, they said one of the scorecards that they use is if your country's total debt to GDP ratio, private and public, approaches or exceeds 200%, then there's a high probability that your fiat currency will be buried in the fiat currency graveyard within your time. You can look over here on worldpopulationreview.com, country rankings, and there are already quite a few that are over that 200% mark. And that gets extremely difficult to fix when your debt is 2x of what you're bringing in. That is definitely pushing towards what leads to hyperinflation. And once you hit hyperinflation, there is no rolling that back. Like, that's when people flee out of the country and try to go elsewhere. And that's where usually governments create a new currency and try to kick the can down the road and start all over and tell you the old one is worthless. And the only reason they're allowed to do that is because they are able to control the narrative through fear and or military force. But now, with, again, like Jeff Booth said, having Bitcoin, you can opt out. So if you're, let's say, living in Japan, I've been there, it's an amazing country, super friendly. I really enjoyed it, very clean. But let's just say this is going towards hyperinflation and you're earning the Japanese yen, and you're seeing the price of your goods inflate, and you're just like, I can't afford to live here anymore. It's getting crazy. You want to set a goal to move. Well, that means you'd be collecting your yen paycheck and converting that to Bitcoin. Then as soon as this gets to some kind of signal of economic collapse, you're like, I'm opting out of this system. You have your wealth stored in Bitcoin, or at least some. You don't have to play by the new rules they create. Never before was that an option, because like in the video I showed you with Mauricio, the co-founder of Letin, when he was in Venezuela and that country fiat currency was collapsing, the only opportunity that the people had there was to try to hoard other things. Like he said, tires and food and things like that. And the government comes by and basically tries to fine you or strong arm you into taking things away from you that you're hoarding, because you're trying to find a way to just store your value because it's being inflated away so fast. Buying clothes or whatever, electronics, anything that you think would hold the value, because in a matter of minutes, like literally hundreds, if not thousands of dollars is wiped away. So again, in that scenario of Japan, if that be the case of one of these countries that are over 200, you wouldn't be able to store your value in anything physical, and you definitely wouldn't be able to leave the country with it, because they're going to find out about that. But you will be able to get on an exchange and convert, obviously at depreciating amounts, but slowly start accruing Bitcoin, and then you literally just get on a plane across the border and you're somewhere else where Bitcoin is more favorable, and you can literally start over. So this is a reality. Like, it's happening right now in real time. Again, countries that have already experienced it, and then countries like El Salvador that adopted a Bitcoin standard. they're still kind of tied to IMF. But TLDR is that Jeff Booth is like the only person I've heard trying to explain this in such a simplistic way that's saying the natural state of the free market is deflation. But it's so simple that it just goes over your head until you hear it over and over and over again. And until you embrace that and understand where the future is headed, you're just going to get left behind. It's like the old quote from Wayne Gretzky, a hockey player in the 90s. They're like, how'd you get so great? And he's like, well, I skate to where the puck is going, not to where it's at. So the monetary system is going towards sound money policy. And Bitcoin is going to be at the foundation, whether we like it or not, whether a country embraces it or not. It's already been accepted. Like the ground rules have already been laid there, and the retail and normies got in first and secured the network. And now TradFi and everybody else looking at this like going, okay, there's something here. And once those trillions start rolling in from different nation states, it's too late for us. You will not have an opportunity. You will be pegged to the current collapsing fiat system and then whatever brand new CBDC system they roll in. All right, I was going to play some other clips, but I let this go long enough, so I'm just going to stop that there. I highly suggest you guys follow Jeff Booth and pay attention to what this guy is putting down, pick up what he's putting down, because I have never heard it so much simpler. Like, he's not trying to convince you to do anything. He's just trying to get you to wake up and look at what's happening right before your eyes and look at history and then make your decision of what you're going to do, because the writing is already on the walls. All right, that's all I got. Smash that HBO special, help a brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, live daily and achieve your impossible.
Want to pay your in real life bills with crypto? How about send crypto directly to anyone with a bank account? Spritz Finance is a decentralized solution to be your own bank and connect your crypto earnings to real world bills and payments. They do not take custody of your assets and allow support on multiple blockchains and Web3 wallets. Sign up below using my referral link and you will get $50 back when you make your first $50 bill payment with crypto. Additionally, I will be using referral bonuses to airdrop, donate, or burn based on community feedback. Sign up now.